The human body is one of the most remarkable structures in nature. Every second, countless processes are taking place inside us. Muscles are contracting, blood is flowing, nerves are firing, and cells are dividing. Yet all of this happens so seamlessly that we rarely stop to think about it. Human anatomy is the study of that design, the blueprint of the body that explains how its many parts are built and how they fit together. At its most basic level, the body begins with the cell, the smallest unit of life. Trillions of these tiny structures work together to form tissues. Tissues combine to form organs, and organs unite into systems. Each system has its own distinct role, but no system works in isolation. The heart depends on the lungs for oxygen. The muscles depend on the skeleton for support. The brain depends on the senses to gather information from the world. Everything is linked, and the harmony of these connections is what makes life possible. There are 11 major systems in the human body. The skeletal system provides support and protection. The muscular system allows for motion. The circulatory and respiratory systems work together to deliver oxygen and nutrients. The digestive and urinary systems break down food and remove waste. The endocrine system uses hormones to regulate growth and energy. The nervous system processes information, while the senses connect us to our surroundings. Finally, the immune and lymphatic systems guard us against disease. Though we can study the body in many ways, by looking at individual regions or by using microscopes to see the smallest details, in this journey, we will take a systemic approach. One by one, we will move through each major system, describing its structure and exploring its function. From the hard framework of bones to the intricate networks of nerves, we will see how each piece contributes to the greater whole. This exploration begins with the system that gives the body its shape and protects its most vital organs. It is the foundation on which everything else is built. It is the skeletal system. The human body is often compared to a machine, and if that comparison holds true, then the skeleton is its frame. Without it, we would be shapeless and unable to stand, move, or protect the organs that keep us alive. The skeletal system is far more than a collection of bones. It is a living, dynamic structure that supports, protects, and adapts to the needs of the body throughout a lifetime. An adult human skeleton is made up of 206 bones. Together, these bones form a framework that gives the body shape and balance. But interestingly, we are not born with this exact number. Infants begin life with nearly 270 bones, many of which gradually fuse as the body matures. This process is most visible in the skull, where soft plates of bone in a newborn slowly knit together to form the solid cranium of adulthood. The skeleton can be divided into two main regions, the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. The axial skeleton forms the body's central axis. It includes the skull, the vertebral column, and the rib cage. Its primary purpose is protection, shielding the brain, the spinal cord, the heart, and the lungs. The appendicular skeleton, on the other hand, includes the bones of the limbs, along with the girdles that attach them to the central axis. It is designed for movement, for reaching, grasping, walking, and running. At the top of this structure sits the skull, a complex assembly of 22 bones. Some of these form the rounded cranium that encloses the brain, while others create the facial structure that supports the eyes, nose, and mouth. The mandible, or lower jaw, is the only part of the skull that moves freely, allowing us to chew and speak. Despite their rigid appearance, The bones of the skull are not lifeless shells. They contain marrow, blood vessels, and nerves, all contributing to the life of the body. Extending downward from the skull is the vertebral column or spine. It is composed of individual bones called vertebrae, stacked in a column that runs from the base of the skull to the pelvis. The cervical vertebrae form the neck, the thoracic vertebrae anchor the ribs, and the lumbar vertebrae support the lower back. At the base, the sacrum and coccyx complete the structure, fused into solid units that bear weight and provide stability. Between each vertebra is a cushion of cartilage known as an intervertebral disc. These discs act as shock absorbers, allowing the spine to bend and twist while protecting the delicate spinal cord that runs through its center. The rib cage forms another vital component of the axial skeleton. 12 pairs of ribs curve around the chest, attaching at the back to the spine and at the front to the sternum, or breastbone. This flexible cage expands and contracts with each breath, protecting the heart and lungs while enabling the movements necessary for respiration. 7 pairs of ribs connect directly to the sternum, while others connect indirectly or float free at the front, giving the chest both strength and mobility. Attached to this central axis are the structures of the appendicular skeleton. At the shoulders, the pectoral girdle is formed by the clavicles and scapulae, the collarbones and shoulder blades. These bones provide a base for the arms, allowing a remarkable range of motion. The arms themselves contain the humerus of the upper arm, the paired radius and ulna of the forearm, and the intricate collection of carpals, metacarpals, and phalanges that make up the wrist, palm, and fingers. At the base of the spine, the pelvic girdle forms a strong, bowl-shaped structure that supports the weight of the upper body and provides attachment points for the legs. The pelvis also shelters some of the body's most sensitive organs, including those of the reproductive and urinary systems. From here, extend the bones of the lower limbs. The femur, the largest and strongest bone in the body. The tibia and fibula of the lower leg. The patella or kneecap. And the tarsals, metatarsals, and phalanges of the feet. Together, these bones allow us to walk upright, balance, and run, feats that distinguish humans from many other species. Though bones appear solid, their internal structure is far more complex. The outer layer is made of compact bone, dense and strong, built to resist stress. Inside lies spongy bone, lighter and filled with small cavities that reduce weight while maintaining strength. Within many bones lies marrow, a soft tissue that plays vital roles. Red marrow is responsible for producing blood cells, while yellow marrow stores fat as an energy reserve. The outer surface of each bone is wrapped in a thin, living membrane called the periosteum, rich in blood vessels and nerves. This layer nourishes the bone and aids in growth and repair. Bones are not static. They are living organs that constantly remodel themselves in response to stress and demand. Specialized cells carry out this ongoing construction. Osteoblasts build new bone, osteoclasts break down old bone, and osteocytes maintain the balance. This process allows the skeleton to repair itself after injury, adapt to changes in weight or activity, and regulate important minerals such as calcium and phosphorus in the bloodstream. Where bones meet, they form joints, and it is here that the skeleton comes alive with movement. Some joints, like those in the skull, are immovable, fused tightly to protect the brain. Others, like those between the vertebrae, allow only limited motion. But the most remarkable are the synovial joints, such as the shoulder, knee, and hip. These joints are enclosed in capsules filled with fluid, lined with cartilage, and supported by ligaments. They provide smooth, controlled motion, from the precise flex of a finger to the powerful leap of a jump. Ligaments, strong bands of connective tissue, link bone to bone, stabilizing the joints. Cartilage, smooth and resilient, cushions the ends of bones, reducing friction and absorbing impact. Tendons connect muscles to bones, transmitting the force that powers movement. Without these supportive tissues, bones would grind together and joints would quickly fail. The skeletal system serves many purposes at once. It provides the rigid scaffolding that shapes the body and holds it upright. It shields fragile organs from harm. The skull for the brain, the rib cage for the heart and lungs, the pelvis for the reproductive organs. It acts as a storage site for minerals and a factory for blood cells. And when joined with the muscular system, it creates the astonishing range of human motion. Yet the skeleton does not work in isolation. It communicates constantly with other systems. Hormones from the endocrine system regulate bone growth and density. The circulatory system delivers nutrients to bone tissue and carries away waste. The nervous system monitors position and strain, ensuring balance and coordination. Even the immune system is linked, as bone marrow produces white blood cells that defend against disease. In every way, the skeletal system is both structure and story. It tells the tale of our growth from infancy to adulthood, as bones fuse, lengthen, and adapt. It records our experiences, bearing the marks of stress, injury, and healing. And it gives us the strength and stability to stand, move, and live. With this foundation in place, the body is ready for action. But bones alone cannot move. For that, they need the power of another system, one that pulls and pushes on this rigid frame. The next chapter turns to the muscular system, the engine of motion that gives life to the skeleton's form. If the skeleton is the framework of the human body, then the muscular system is its engine. Bones give us structure, but without muscles, they would remain motionless. It is the muscles that contract and relax, pulling on the skeleton to create every movement we make, from the smallest twitch of an eyelid to the powerful stride of a runner. There are more than 600 muscles in the human body. Together, they make up nearly half of our body weight, and they are never truly at rest. Even when we are sitting quietly or lying down, muscles are holding us upright, keeping our organs in place, and maintaining a readiness to move at a moment's notice. Not all muscles are the same. Some are under our conscious control, while others work automatically, without us ever having to think about them. Skeletal muscles, as their name suggests, are attached to bones. These are the voluntary muscles, the ones we command when we decide to raise an arm, take a step, or turn the head. Under a microscope, skeletal muscles appear striated, with alternating light and dark bands, reflecting the highly organized structure of their fibers. Skeletal muscles usually work in pairs. When one muscle contracts, its partner relaxes. This balance creates smooth, controlled motion. Take the arm as an example. The biceps contract to bend the elbow, while the triceps contract to straighten it. Without this partnership, movement would be jerky and uncoordinated. Other muscles function beyond our conscious control. Smooth muscles line the walls of organs, such as the stomach, intestines, and blood vessels. Their contractions are slow and steady, moving food through the digestive tract or adjusting the flow of blood. Though they work silently in the background, these muscles are essential for life. At the very center of the chest lies a third type of muscle, unique to the heart. Cardiac muscle is both striated like skeletal muscle and involuntary like smooth muscle. It beats rhythmically, tirelessly, every moment of our lives. Unlike skeletal muscles, it never rests for long. From the first beat before birth to the last, cardiac muscle drives the circulation of blood through the body. But how do muscles actually move? The secret lies deep within each muscle fiber. A single muscle is made up of bundles of smaller fibers, and within those fibers are even smaller threads called myofibrils. Inside the myofibrils are two proteins, actin and myosin, that slide past one another when activated. As they do, they shorten the muscle fiber, pulling on the bone to which the muscle is attached. This process, called the sliding filament mechanism, is the fundamental action behind every movement of the human body. The trigger for this contraction comes from the nervous system. A motor neuron sends an electrical impulse down to the muscle. At the junction where the nerve meets the muscle, a chemical signal is released, setting off a cascade of events inside the fiber. Calcium ions flood in, the proteins lock together, and contraction begins. When the signal stops, calcium is reabsorbed, and the muscle relaxes. This elegant partnership between the nervous system and the muscular system allows us to move with both power and precision. Muscles do not all contract in the same way. Sometimes they shorten as they produce force, as when lifting a weight. This is called a concentric contraction. Sometimes they lengthen while under tension, as when lowering that same weight slowly. This is an eccentric contraction. And sometimes they produce force without changing length at all, such as when holding a heavy object steady. These are isometric contractions, and together, these different types of activity allow for the full range of human movement. The body's major muscle groups each play specific roles. In the head and neck, muscles like the masseter generate the power of chewing, while others control facial expressions and the subtle movements of the eyes. In the trunk, broad sheets of muscle like the pectorals, abdominals, and trapezius maintain posture and stabilize the spine. In the limbs, the biceps and triceps, quadriceps and hamstrings, calves and gluteals all work together to produce the coordinated actions of walking, running, and manipulating objects with our hands. One of the remarkable qualities of skeletal muscles is their adaptability. They respond to the demands placed upon them. With regular exercise, they grow larger and stronger, a process known as hypertrophy. Without use, they weaken and shrink or atrophy. Endurance training increases their efficiency, allowing them to use oxygen more effectively, while strength training enhances their power output. Muscles truly reflect how they are used. Energy fuels every contraction. The immediate source is a molecule called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Muscles store only small amounts of ATP, so they must constantly replenish it. They do this through several pathways: the quick breakdown of creatine phosphate, the process of anaerobic glycolysis, and the longer, more sustainable process of aerobic respiration in the mitochondria. During intense activity, when oxygen cannot be delivered fast enough, anaerobic pathways take over, leading to the buildup of lactic acid and the familiar sensation of fatigue. Even at rest, muscles serve important functions beyond movement. A constant, low-level tension called muscle tone keeps the body upright and joints stable. Muscles also generate heat. In cold environments, small, rapid contractions, shivering, produce warmth to maintain body temperature. Smooth muscles in the digestive tract quietly move food along, while the diaphragm, a dome-shaped skeletal muscle, contracts rhythmically to allow breathing. And of course, the steady beat of cardiac muscle circulates blood through the entire body. The muscular system is deeply interconnected with other systems. It works with the skeletal system to create movement. It depends on the circulatory and respiratory systems to deliver oxygen and nutrients, and to remove waste products. It responds to signals from the nervous system and to hormones from the endocrine system. It even influences the immune system, as exercise stimulates circulation and immune activity. Together, the muscles of the body form an intricate network of strength and motion. They enable us to stand upright, to work, to play, to communicate, and to survive. Without them, the skeleton would be lifeless. The heart would not beat, and the lungs would not breathe. The story of the body now turns to another system, one that works in close partnership with the muscles. It is a system of rivers and currents that flows through every tissue, delivering life and carrying away waste. Next, we explore the circulatory system. The human body is in constant motion, even when it appears still. At the center of this activity is a vast transportation network, moving oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and waste products to and from every cell. This is the circulatory system, a system of pumps, vessels, and blood that keeps the body alive by maintaining the flow of life's essential elements. At the heart of this system is an organ no larger than a clenched fist, the human heart. Though small, it is powerful, contracting more than 100,000 times every day. With each beat, it propels blood into a branching network of vessels that stretches for more than 60,000 miles, long enough to circle the Earth more than twice. This is the body's internal highway, and every drop of blood is a traveler on its endless journey. The heart itself is a muscular organ divided into 4 chambers. The upper chambers, the atria, receive blood, while the lower chambers, the ventricles, pump it out with force. Valves between these chambers act like gates, opening and closing to ensure that blood moves in only one direction. On the right side of the heart, blood low in oxygen flows in from the body and is sent to the lungs. There, it releases carbon dioxide and takes in fresh oxygen. The left side of the heart then pumps this oxygen-rich blood out to the rest of the body, providing fuel for every organ and tissue. This cycle, repeated over and over, is known as the cardiac cycle. It consists of 2 main phases. In systole, the ventricles contract, forcing blood out into the arteries. In diastole, the heart relaxes, the chambers refill, and the cycle begins again. This rhythm creates the familiar sound of a heartbeat, the steady lub-dub that marks the passage of life itself. From the heart, blood travels through 3 main types of vessels. Arteries are strong, muscular tubes that carry blood away from the heart. They divide into smaller and smaller branches until they become arterioles, and finally, the microscopic capillaries. These capillaries are so narrow that red blood cells must squeeze through single file. It is here, in these thin-walled vessels, that oxygen and nutrients pass out of the blood and into the tissues, while carbon dioxide and waste products move in. From the capillaries, blood begins its return journey. It enters small venules, which merge into larger veins, eventually carrying the blood back to the heart. Unlike arteries, veins have thinner walls and often contain valves that prevent blood from flowing backward. Muscles surrounding the veins contract and relax, squeezing them gently and helping to push the blood upward, especially in the legs, against the pull of gravity. The circulatory system is not just a system of pipes. It is also the body's main delivery service. Red blood cells, produced in the bone marrow, carry oxygen thanks to the protein hemoglobin. White blood cells patrol the bloodstream, ready to fight infection and disease. Platelets, Tiny cell fragments help seal wounds by forming clots. Suspended in plasma, a pale yellow fluid, these elements travel through the vessels, maintaining the body's health and balance. Plasma itself is mostly water, but it also carries nutrients absorbed from food, hormones released by glands, and waste products destined for removal by the kidneys and lungs. In this way, blood is not only a transporter, but also a communicator, linking distant parts of the body in a continuous conversation. The circulatory system also helps regulate temperature and maintain homeostasis. When the body overheats, blood vessels near the skin widen, allowing more heat to escape. When the body is cold, those vessels narrow, conserving warmth. By redistributing blood flow, the system ensures that every organ receives what it needs under changing conditions. At the center of this coordination is the heart's electrical system. Specialized cells generate electrical impulses that spread through the heart muscle, causing it to contract in a precise sequence. This built-in pacemaker keeps the heart beating rhythmically without conscious effort. The nervous system and hormones can adjust the rate, speeding it up during exercise or slowing it down during rest. But the rhythm itself is self-sustaining. Over a lifetime, the circulatory system tells a story of resilience. The heart beats more than 3 billion times in an average life, pushing gallons of blood through vessels that adapt, repair, and respond to stress. Arteries thicken and strengthen with activity. Capillaries grow in response to need, and the system constantly balances supply and demand. Yet, it is also vulnerable. Blockages, leaks, or irregular rhythms can disrupt the delicate flow, reminding us how much depends on the quiet work of this system. Despite its challenges, the circulatory system remains a marvel of endurance, a living river that nourishes and sustains every part of the body. Together, the heart, the vessels, and the blood form a partnership. The heart provides the force, the vessels provide the pathways, and the blood carries the cargo. Without this constant circulation, muscles could not contract, nerves could not fire, and organs could not function. It is the circulatory system that ensures the body remains alive moment by moment. And yet, this system does not work alone. It is deeply connected to another, one that brings oxygen into the body and removes carbon dioxide. Just as rivers depend on the air and the rain, the circulatory system depends on the lungs. In the next chapter, we turn to the respiratory system, the gateway between the body and the atmosphere, and the source of the breath that fuels life. Every moment of life is marked by a simple rhythm: the rise and fall of the chest, the steady flow of air in and out of the lungs. Breathing is so automatic that we rarely stop to notice it. Yet, it is one of the most important processes in the body. The respiratory system is the gateway between us and the world around us, drawing oxygen from the air and releasing carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere. Without it, the circulatory system would have nothing to deliver, and life would end in minutes. The process begins with a single breath. Air enters through the nose or mouth and passes into the pharynx, a shared passageway for both food and air. From there, it travels into the larynx, also known as the voice box, where the vocal cords are housed. Below the larynx lies the trachea, a sturdy tube supported by rings of cartilage that prevent it from collapsing. The trachea divides into 2 bronchi, each leading into a lung. Inside the lungs, the bronchi branch into smaller and smaller passages, called bronchioles, until they end in tiny air sacs known as alveoli. There are millions of alveoli in the lungs, each surrounded by a network of capillaries. These delicate structures are where the true work of the respiratory system takes place. The walls of the alveoli are only a single cell thick, allowing oxygen to diffuse into the blood while carbon dioxide diffuses out. This exchange, quiet and unseen, is the very foundation of respiration. The lungs themselves are soft and spongy, filling most of the chest cavity. They are divided into lobes, 3 on the right side and 2 on the left, leaving room for the heart. Each lung is wrapped in a protective membrane called the pleura, which reduces friction as the lungs expand and contract. The act of breathing is powered by muscles, most importantly, the diaphragm. This dome-shaped muscle lies beneath the lungs, separating the chest cavity from the abdominal cavity. When the diaphragm contracts, it flattens and moves downward, creating more space in the chest. At the same time, the intercostal muscles between the ribs lift the rib cage outward. Together, these movements reduce the pressure inside the lungs, causing air to rush in. When the diaphragm relaxes, it rises again. The rib cage lowers, and air is pushed out. This cycle of inhalation and exhalation repeats endlessly, adjusting automatically to the body's needs. The respiratory system is finely tuned to respond to demand. At rest, the average adult breathes about 12 to 16 times per minute. During exercise, when muscles require more oxygen, the rate and depth of breathing increase, sometimes rising to 40 breaths per minute. Sensors in the brain and blood vessels constantly monitor levels of oxygen and carbon dioxide, adjusting the rhythm to maintain balance. Breathing is not only mechanical, it also serves as a bridge between the body and the environment. Through the nose, air is filtered by tiny hairs, warmed by blood vessels, and moistened before it reaches the lungs. This conditioning helps protect delicate alveoli from damage. Cilia and mucus in the airways trap dust, pathogens, and other particles, sweeping them away from the lungs to keep the passages clear. The respiratory system also plays an important role in sound and communication. As air passes through the larynx, it causes the vocal cords to vibrate, producing sound. By shaping this sound with the mouth, tongue, and lips, humans can form speech. Thus, the system that fuels life also gives us the ability to share thoughts and ideas. Like every system, respiration is interconnected. The oxygen absorbed in the alveoli binds to hemoglobin in red blood cells and is carried by the circulatory system to tissues throughout the body. In turn, the circulatory system brings carbon dioxide back to the lungs to be expelled. Without this constant exchange, muscles would lack the energy to contract, the brain would cease to function, and cells would quickly die. The respiratory system also assists with maintaining pH balance in the blood. Carbon dioxide, when dissolved, forms carbonic acid. By adjusting the rate of breathing, the body can regulate how much carbon dioxide is retained or expelled, keeping the blood's chemistry within narrow limits. This fine-tuned balance is essential for normal function. Over a lifetime, the respiratory system tells its own story. From the first breath taken at birth to the last exhalation at life's end, the lungs mark the rhythm of existence. They adapt to challenges, growing stronger with exercise or struggling against pollutants and disease. They remind us of our connection to the air around us, a connection renewed thousands of times each day. Breathing is so natural that we often forget its importance, yet every cell depends on it. The respiratory system provides the spark of oxygen that fuels metabolism and removes the waste that could otherwise poison the body. It is the quiet, constant companion of life. always present, always working. As we leave the lungs behind, our journey through the body continues with another system that transforms raw materials into usable fuel. Just as air sustains life through oxygen, food sustains life through nutrients. Next, we turn to the digestive system, the pathway that breaks down what we eat and delivers energy to every cell. Every living cell in the body needs energy, and that energy comes from the food we eat. Yet the meals we take in, bread, fruit, vegetables, meat, do not arrive in a form the body can use directly. They must be broken down into their simplest parts, absorbed, and transported to the trillions of cells waiting for nourishment. This remarkable process is carried out by the digestive system, a long and intricate pathway that begins at the mouth and ends at the anus, transforming food into the building blocks of life. Digestion begins before a single bite is swallowed. The sight and smell of food trigger the salivary glands to release saliva, preparing the body for what is to come. When food enters the mouth, the teeth cut, tear, and grind it into smaller pieces. The tongue pushes the food around, mixing it with saliva. Saliva contains enzymes such as amylase, which begin the chemical breakdown of carbohydrates. What leaves the mouth is not just chewed food, but a moistened mass called a bolus, ready to be swallowed. The bolus travels down the pharynx and enters the esophagus, a muscular tube that connects the throat to the stomach. Movement here is not left to chance. Waves of muscular contractions, called peristalsis, push the bolus steadily downward, even if the body is lying flat or upside down. At the end of the esophagus, a ring of muscle known as the lower esophageal sphincter opens to allow food into the stomach, then closes again to prevent it from flowing back upward. The stomach is a muscular, J-shaped organ designed for both storage and breakdown. Its walls churn the food, mixing it with gastric juices. These juices are highly acidic, containing hydrochloric acid and enzymes like pepsin, which begin the digestion of proteins. The stomach lining protects itself from this corrosive environment with a thick layer of mucus. Within a few hours, the meal has been transformed into a semi-liquid mixture known as chyme. From the stomach, chyme moves into the small intestine, the central site of nutrient absorption. The small intestine is a remarkable structure, stretching more than 20 feet in length when fully extended, though it folds tightly to fit within the abdominal cavity. It is divided into 3 sections: the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. In the duodenum, secretions from the pancreas and liver join the process. The pancreas provides enzymes that break down carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. The liver produces bile stored in the gallbladder, which emulsifies fats, making them easier to digest. The lining of the small intestine is covered in millions of tiny projections called villi, and even smaller microvilli. These increase the surface area dramatically, allowing for efficient absorption of nutrients. Sugars, amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals pass into the bloodstream or lymphatic system here to be carried throughout the body. By the time chyme leaves the small intestine, most of its valuable nutrients have been extracted. What remains enters the large intestine, also called the colon. The colon is wider but shorter than the small intestine. Its primary function is not digestion, but absorption of water and electrolytes, converting the remaining material into solid waste. Within the colon lives a complex community of bacteria, known collectively as the gut microbiota. These microorganisms help break down substances that the body cannot digest on its own, produce certain vitamins, and play an important role in overall health. The journey continues into the rectum, where waste is stored until it is expelled through the anus. This final step of digestion, elimination, is as important as the beginning, ensuring that indigestible material and toxins leave the body. But the digestive system does far more than process food. It also plays a role in defense. The stomach's acidity destroys many harmful microorganisms, while the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, found throughout the intestines, acts as part of the immune system, monitoring for potential threats. The digestive system is also closely linked to the nervous system. The so-called enteric nervous system, sometimes called the second brain, contains millions of neurons embedded in the walls of the gastrointestinal tract. It can operate independently, regulating motility and secretions, yet it constantly communicates with the central nervous system, influencing mood, appetite, and even behavior. Throughout life, the digestive system adapts to the foods we eat and the conditions we face. It responds to hunger by stimulating contractions known as stomach growls, and it signals fullness when enough food has been consumed. It can adjust enzyme production based on diet, and it can even repair and renew its lining every few days, ensuring that the harsh environment of digestion does not cause lasting damage. In essence, the digestive system is both a processor and a protector. It transforms the meals we enjoy into the raw materials that sustain growth, repair tissues, and fuel every thought and movement. At the same time, it guards the body against pathogens and maintains a delicate balance with the microorganisms that share its space. Without digestion, life would grind to a halt. Every heartbeat, every breath, every movement of a muscle depends on the energy extracted from food. The digestive system is the bridge between the external world and the inner body, turning matter from outside into the very essence of who we are. As food is broken down and nutrients are absorbed, there remains another vital task: the removal of waste products that build up within the body. This is the role of the urinary system, a network of organs dedicated to filtering the blood and maintaining the body's fluid balance. In the next chapter, we will explore this system, where the kidneys act as natural purifiers, ensuring that the body's internal environment remains clean and stable. As the body carries out its daily work, it constantly produces waste. Every time cells break down nutrients for energy, byproducts are left behind. These wastes cannot be allowed to build up, for they would quickly poison the very systems that sustain life. The task of removing them falls to the urinary system, a network of organs dedicated to filtering the blood, regulating fluid levels, and keeping the body's internal environment in balance. At the center of this system are two bean-shaped organs located on either side of the spine, just below the ribs cage: the kidneys. Though each kidney is no larger than a fist, together they filter the body's entire blood supply many times every day. In fact, every minute, about a quarter of the heart's output flows through the kidneys, where waste is removed and the composition of blood is carefully adjusted. Inside each kidney lies an intricate network of filtering units called nephrons. There are more than 1 million nephrons in each kidney, and they are the true workhorses of the urinary system. Each nephron begins with a cluster of tiny blood vessels called a glomerulus, where blood is forced through a thin membrane. This process separates water and small molecules from larger components such as blood cells and proteins, which remain in circulation. What passes through becomes a fluid known as filtrate, the starting point of urine. As this filtrate travels through the winding tubules of the nephron, its composition is carefully adjusted. Useful substances such as glucose, certain salts, and much of the water are reabsorbed back into the bloodstream. Waste products, including urea and creatinine, are left behind. The kidneys also fine-tune the body's levels of sodium, potassium, and other ions, helping to maintain the delicate balance of electrolytes necessary for nerve signals and muscle contractions. By the time the filtrate reaches the end of the nephron, it has been transformed into urine. From here, it drains into larger collecting ducts and eventually into the renal pelvis, the central funnel of the kidney. From there, urine flows down two slender tubes called ureters, which carry it to the bladder. The bladder is a hollow, muscular organ designed for storage. Its flexible walls can expand to hold several hundred milliliters of urine. As it fills, stretch receptors in the bladder wall send signals to the brain, creating the urge to urinate. When the moment is appropriate, muscles relax and the bladder contracts, expelling urine through the urethra and out of the body. This final act of elimination may seem simple, but it is the culmination of a complex and finely regulated process. Beyond waste removal, the urinary system has many other responsibilities. It plays a crucial role in regulating blood pressure. When blood pressure drops, the kidneys release hormones that trigger the retention of water and salt, raising the pressure again. When pressure is too high, they allow more water and salt to leave the body, lowering it. The kidneys also help control the production of red blood cells by releasing a hormone called erythropoietin, which stimulates the bone marrow to create more when oxygen levels are low. In addition, they activate vitamin D, a substance essential for calcium absorption and bone health. In this way, the urinary system is not just a filter, it is a regulator, constantly monitoring and adjusting the internal environment to maintain stability. This balance is known as homeostasis, and without it, the body could not survive. Like every system, the urinary system is deeply interconnected with others. It works closely with the circulatory system, filtering blood and returning it cleansed. It interacts with the endocrine system, responding to hormonal signals that alter kidney function. It supports the skeletal system by regulating calcium and phosphate levels. And it even connects with the nervous system, which coordinates the voluntary and involuntary aspects of bladder control. The story of the urinary system is also one of resilience. The kidneys are so efficient that even with only one functioning kidney, a person can live a healthy life. They adapt to changing diets, fluctuating fluid intake, and varying activity levels, adjusting output to keep conditions stable. Over the years, they silently perform their task, often without notice, yet they are among the most vital organs in the body. From the intake of water and nutrients to the expulsion of wastes, the urinary system closes the loop, ensuring that what the body no longer needs is safely removed. It is a quiet guardian of balance, filtering, measuring, and regulating every moment of the day. As we continue our journey through the body, we leave the kidneys and bladder behind and turn to another system, one that controls not waste, but communication. This system uses chemical messengers to regulate growth, energy, and reproduction. It is less visible than bone or muscle, yet its influence reaches every corner of the body. In the next chapter, we explore the endocrine system, the body's network of glands and hormones that orchestrates the subtle rhythms of life. Hidden deep within the body lies a communication network unlike any other. While the nervous system sends rapid electrical impulses across nerves, the endocrine system works more slowly, using chemical messengers to shape growth metabolism, mood, and reproduction. These messengers, called hormones, are secreted into the bloodstream by specialized glands carried to distant organs and tissues, and there they exert their effects. Though invisible, the endocrine system influences nearly every function of life. The command center of this system lies in the brain, within a small but powerful structure called the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus serves as the link between the nervous system and the endocrine system, constantly monitoring the body's internal state. It sends signals to the pituitary gland, often called the master gland, which hangs just below it. The pituitary releases hormones that control many other glands in the body, ensuring that the entire system operates in harmony. From the pituitary, the network extends outward. At the base of the neck, wrapped around the trachea, sits the thyroid gland. Its hormones regulate metabolism, controlling how quickly the body uses energy and how warm it remains. Too much thyroid activity, and the body becomes restless, overheated, and overactive. Too little, and it slows down, leaving the person fatigued and cold. Beside the thyroid are 4 tiny parathyroid glands, each no larger than a grain of rice. These small but vital organs release hormones that regulate calcium levels in the blood, ensuring that muscles can contract and nerves can fire properly. Just above the kidneys lie the adrenal glands, shaped like small pyramids. They produce hormones that help the body respond to stress. When danger approaches, the adrenal glands release adrenaline, also known as epinephrine, flooding the body with energy, quickening the heartbeat, and sharpening awareness. Alongside adrenaline, they release cortisol, a hormone that influences metabolism and helps the body adapt to longer-term stress. The pancreas, tucked behind the stomach, is both a digestive and an endocrine organ. As part of its endocrine role, it produces insulin and glucagon, 2 hormones that regulate blood sugar levels. After a meal, insulin helps move glucose from the blood into cells, where it can be used for energy. Between meals, glucagon ensures that stored glucose is released when needed. Together, they maintain the steady supply of fuel that every cell depends on. The endocrine system also plays a central role in reproduction. In females, the ovaries release estrogen and progesterone, hormones that regulate the menstrual cycle, support pregnancy, and shape the development of secondary sexual characteristics. In males, the testes produce testosterone, responsible for sperm production, muscle growth, and male physical traits. These reproductive hormones influence not only the body, but also behavior, mood, and social interaction. Other glands add to this orchestra of chemical messengers. The pineal gland, a small structure deep within the brain, secretes melatonin, which helps regulate sleep-wake cycles. The thymus, active in childhood, releases hormones that guide the development of immune cells. Each gland, no matter its size, contributes to the subtle but powerful influence of the endocrine system. Hormones travel through the bloodstream, but they do not affect every cell they encounter. Instead, they act only on cells with the proper receptors, like keys fitting into locks. Once bound, they trigger changes inside the cell, activating genes, altering metabolism, or changing the way the cell responds to its environment. In this way, hormones can influence processes ranging from how quickly the heart beats to how strongly bones grow. One of the most remarkable features of the endocrine system is its feedback loops. Hormone levels are rarely left unchecked. For example, when the thyroid produces too much hormone, the pituitary reduces its signals, slowing production. When blood sugar rises, insulin is released to lower it. When it falls, glucagon raises it again. These loops ensure stability, maintaining balance even as conditions change. The endocrine system also tells the story of time. It guides growth from infancy through childhood and adolescence, with growth hormones shaping the lengthening of bones and the development of tissues. It signals the onset of puberty, marking the transition into adulthood. It influences fertility, pregnancy, and childbirth, orchestrating the complex hormonal changes that allow new life to develop. And later, it guides the gradual changes of aging, as hormone levels shift and the body adapts to new stages of life. Though its work is often silent, the endocrine system is deeply intertwined with every other system. It works with the circulatory system to deliver hormones throughout the body. It influences the skeletal system by regulating calcium and bone growth. It affects the muscular system through hormones that control energy use and protein synthesis. And it constantly communicates with the nervous system, adjusting mood, stress responses, and behavior. In many ways, the endocrine system is the body's storyteller, writing its history in hormones. It marks the milestones of life, the surge of growth in childhood, the changes of adolescence, the cycles of reproduction, and the transitions of age. Without it, the body would lack coordination, direction, and rhythm. As we leave the realm of hormones, our path leads us to the system that interprets signals from the outside world and directs the body's responses. It is the system that allows us to think, to feel, to move with purpose, and to remember. In the next chapter, we turn to the nervous system, the vast network of electrical pathways that forms the command center of the human body. At the center of human existence lies a vast communication network, faster than any computer, more intricate than any machine ever built. This is the nervous system, the command center of the body. It allows us to sense the world, to think and feel, to learn and remember. It directs every heartbeat, every breath, every motion of the muscles. And it does so at lightning speed. The nervous system is divided into two main parts. The central nervous system, or CNS, consists of the brain and spinal cord. This is the control hub, where information is processed and decisions are made. The peripheral nervous system includes all the nerves that branch out from the spinal cord, extending to every corner of the body. Together, they form a network that links the body and the mind in a continuous conversation. The brain, weighing just over 3 pounds, is the most complex organ known to science. It contains nearly 100 billion neurons, each capable of forming thousands of connections. These connections, called synapses, create a web of communication that generates thoughts, emotions, and actions. Different regions of the brain specialize in different tasks. The cerebrum, the largest part, controls conscious thought, movement, and sensation. The cerebellum coordinates balance and precision, allowing us to walk, run, and perform delicate tasks. The brainstem regulates vital functions such as breathing, heartbeat, and digestion, operating quietly in the background. The spinal cord, extending downward from the brain, is like a superhighway of information. Bundles of nerve fibers carry signals back and forth, sensory information traveling upward to the brain, and motor commands traveling downward to the muscles. The spinal cord also handles reflexes, rapid automatic responses that bypass the brain entirely. If you touch a hot surface, the hand withdraws before the sensation of pain even reaches consciousness. Neurons are the working units of the nervous system. Each neuron has a cell body, branching dendrites that receive signals, and a long axon that sends signals onward. Electrical impulses, called action potentials, race down the axon at incredible speeds. When they reach the end, they trigger the release of chemical messengers, neurotransmitters, which cross the synapse and pass the signal to the next neuron. In this way, chains of neurons transmit information across vast networks, enabling everything from muscle contraction to memory formation. The nervous system is divided further into functional parts. The somatic nervous system controls voluntary actions, such as moving the arms and legs. The autonomic nervous system oversees involuntary functions, regulating the heart, lungs, and digestive organs. The autonomic system itself has two branches, the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic system prepares the body for action, the so-called fight or flight response, speeding up the heart, dilating the pupils, and redirecting blood flow to the muscles. The parasympathetic system, in contrast, promotes rest and recovery, slowing the heartbeat and aiding digestion. Together, they maintain balance, shifting control depending on the body's needs. One of the nervous system's most extraordinary qualities is plasticity, its ability to change and adapt. Throughout life, the brain forms new connections and strengthens old ones, reshaping itself in response to experience and learning. Even after injury, neurons can sometimes reroute signals, allowing the nervous system to recover lost functions. This adaptability is what allows humans to learn languages, develop skills, and continue growing intellectually across a lifetime. The nervous system is not just mechanical. It is also the seat of consciousness. It is here that perceptions from the senses are transformed into experiences, where memories are stored, and where imagination is born. It is in the nervous system that emotion arises, influencing decisions and guiding behavior. Though neurons communicate with electrical impulses and chemical signals, the sum of their activity produces something far greater: the human mind. The nervous system is deeply linked with every other system in the body. It directs the muscles, regulates the glands of the endocrine system, and monitors signals from the immune system. It processes sensations from the skin, joints, and organs, giving us awareness of both the outer world and our inner state. Through this endless exchange, the nervous system integrates the entire organism, ensuring that the body functions as a unified whole. From the flicker of an eyelid to the spark of a thought, the nervous system shapes every aspect of human life. It is the conductor of the body's symphony, orchestrating signals so rapidly and seamlessly that we rarely notice its presence. Yet without it, movement, sensation, and awareness would cease. As powerful as it is, the nervous system does not stand alone. It is closely partnered with the body's sensory organs, the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, that gather information and deliver it to the brain. In the next chapter, we will explore these senses, the gateways that connect us to the outside world, and the means by which the nervous system interprets reality. The world around us is rich with sound, color, texture, scent, and taste. Yet without specialized organs to receive and interpret these signals, the human body would exist in silence and darkness, cut off from the reality that surrounds it. The sensory organs are our windows to the world. They gather information from the environment, deliver it to the nervous system, and allow the brain to build the vivid experience of life. The most dominant of these senses for many people is vision. The eyes are intricate instruments, capturing light and transforming it into electrical signals that the brain can understand. Light enters through the cornea, passes through the adjustable lens and strikes the retina at the back of the eye. There, millions of photoreceptor cells, rods and cones, convert light into nerve impulses. Rods detect shades of gray and allow us to see in dim light, while cones sense color in bright conditions. These impulses travel along the optic nerve to the brain, where they are assembled into the images we see. Vision is not simply a camera recording. It is an active process of interpretation in which the brain fills gaps, adjusts focus, and creates depth and meaning from the raw signals. While sight dominates, hearing is equally remarkable. The ears capture waves of pressure in the air and translate them into sound. The outer ear funnels vibrations into the ear canal, where they strike the eardrum, setting it into motion. Tiny bones in the middle ear, the malleus, incus, and stapes, the smallest bones in the human body, amplify these vibrations and pass them into the fluid-filled cochlea of the inner ear. Inside the cochlea, thousands of delicate hair cells bend in response to the movement of fluid, generating electrical impulses that travel along the auditory nerve to the brain. From these impulses, the brain constructs sound, voices, music, the rustle of leaves, or the rush of wind. The ears also contain another sense, balance. Within the inner ear are semicircular canals filled with fluid and lined with sensory hair cells. As the head moves, the fluid shifts, and the hair cells detect this change, sending signals that help the brain determine position and motion. Thanks to this vestibular system, we can walk upright, ride a bicycle, or dance without toppling over. The senses of smell and taste are often intertwined, yet each has its own specialized organs. Smell begins in the nose, where molecules from the environment bind to receptors in the olfactory epithelium. These receptors send signals directly to the brain's olfactory bulb, bypassing the thalamus and creating an immediate and emotional response. Scents can trigger memories, alter mood, and even influence behavior. Taste is detected by taste buds on the tongue, each sensitive to one of 5 primary tastes: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami, the savory flavor associated with proteins. The combination of these basic tastes, along with input from smell, touch, and even temperature, creates the rich variety of flavors we experience when eating. Touch, too, is more complex than it may first appear. The skin, the body's largest organ, is covered with millions of sensory receptors. Some respond to pressure, others to vibration, others to temperature or pain. Through these receptors, we feel the warmth of sunlight, the softness of fabric, the sharp edge of a blade. Touch is not only a physical sense, but also an emotional one. The comfort of a hug, the reassurance of a hand held, carries profound meaning because of the information delivered by the skin. All these sensory signals converge in the brain, where they are processed, interpreted, and woven together into the seamless tapestry of perception. The senses do not operate in isolation. Vision guides touch, sound influences balance, smell enhances taste. Together, they create a multidimensional experience of reality, allowing us to navigate the world, avoid danger, seek pleasure, and connect with others. The sensory organs also remind us of our vulnerability. Eyes can tire or blur, ears can lose sensitivity to sound, and taste and smell can fade with age. Yet even with these changes, the senses continue to enrich life, grounding us in the present and connecting us to memory and emotion. The story of the senses is one of connection. They link the inner world of the body to the outer world of experience. They are the gateways through which knowledge enters, and they are essential for survival, communication, and joy. As we leave the sensory organs, our journey through the body moves to the final system in this exploration. A system that protects us from harm, defends us against invaders, and maintains the integrity of the body itself. In the next chapter, we turn to the immune system, the body's shield and sentinel. Every day, the human body faces invisible threats. Bacteria, viruses, fungi, and parasites are all around us, seeking to enter and multiply. Without protection, life would be short and fragile. Yet the body is not defenseless. It possesses a powerful, intricate network of cells, tissues, and organs dedicated to one task: defense. This is the immune system, the body's shield, standing watch over every moment of existence. The immune system begins with barriers. The skin, the body's largest organ, acts as a wall, blocking most invaders from ever entering. Sweat and oils on the skin create an environment hostile to microbes. Inside the body, the linings of the respiratory and digestive tracts add another layer of defense. Mucus traps dust and pathogens, while cilia, tiny hair-like structures, sweep them away. Stomach acid destroys many that survive the journey into the gut. These first lines of defense are broad, nonspecific, but highly effective. When invaders breach these barriers, the body calls upon its innate immune system. This rapid response force includes white blood cells, such as macrophages and neutrophils. These cells patrol the bloodstream and tissues, recognizing and engulfing anything that appears foreign. They are supported by natural killer cells, which identify and destroy infected or abnormal cells. The innate system reacts quickly, buying time while the body summons its more specialized defenders. That specialized defense is the adaptive immune system. Unlike the innate system, it is highly specific. It learns, remembers, and improves with each encounter. At its heart are two types of lymphocytes: B cells and T cells. B cells produce antibodies, proteins that recognize and bind to antigens, unique markers on pathogens. Once bound, these antibodies neutralize the invader or mark it for destruction. T cells, on the other hand, come in several forms. Helper T cells coordinate the immune response, while cytotoxic T cells directly attack infected cells. One of the most remarkable features of the adaptive immune system is memory. After fighting off an infection, the body retains a record of the invader. Memory B cells and T cells remain, ready to respond more quickly if the same pathogen appears again. This is why many diseases, once contracted, do not return. And it is the principle behind vaccination. By exposing the immune system to a harmless piece of a pathogen, vaccines train it to recognize the threat without causing illness, preparing it for future encounters. The immune system relies on a network of organs and tissues known as the lymphatic system. Lymph nodes, scattered throughout the body, filter fluid and house concentrations of immune cells. The spleen, located in the upper left abdomen, filters blood, removing old red blood cells and storing white blood cells. The thymus, particularly active in childhood, trains immature T cells. Together, these structures act as bases and training grounds for the immune army. Yet the immune system is not always perfect. Sometimes it overreacts, attacking harmless substances such as pollen or food proteins. This produces allergies, reactions ranging from mild discomfort to life-threatening anaphylaxis. At other times, the system mistakes the body's own tissues for enemies, creating autoimmune diseases such as rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, or type 1 diabetes. These conditions reveal the fine balance the immune system must maintain. powerful enough to destroy invaders, but restrained enough not to harm the body itself. The immune system is also shaped by lifestyle. Nutrition, sleep, stress, and exercise all influence its strength. A diet rich in vitamins and minerals supports the production of immune cells. Sleep allows the body to reset and regulate immune responses. Chronic stress, on the other hand, can weaken defenses, while moderate exercise enhances circulation and the movement of immune cells throughout the body. In every moment, the immune system works silently, unnoticed, defending against countless threats. Most of the time, we remain unaware of its constant battles. But its impact is profound. Without it, even minor infections would become deadly. With it, the body thrives, resilient in the face of an ever-changing environment. The immune system completes our journey through human anatomy, from the skeleton that gives us structure, to the muscles that move us, the heart that pumps life, the lungs that breathe air, the digestive tract that provides energy, the kidneys that purify, the glands that guide growth, the nerves that control thought, the senses that connect us, and finally, the immune system that guards us. Every system works together, bound in a single unity. The human body is not just a collection of parts. It is a living symphony, each system playing its role, each cell contributing its note. Together, they create the miracle of life, adapting, repairing, and enduring. To study anatomy is to glimpse this harmony, to appreciate the hidden complexity within ourselves, and to understand the extraordinary design that allows us not only to survive, but to live, think, and dream.